Hi, welcome along to AFTV. We are here for the big game tonight. It is Arsenal versus Aston Villa, and we are awaiting the starting 11, which we are going to bring to you as soon as it comes out. Joining me, I've got Julian.
Yes. Got to do the round of applause, man. Come on.
Thank you. Oh, I like these guys.
For everyone.
Dix.
Yeah.
And Sharoy as well.
I'll clap for myself.
There we go.
Great to have you guys on board, man. Great to have the knowledge in the building. And listen, we're looking forward to the game today. Seems just like yesterday that we had the game at the weekend against Fulham, which we won. You know what? It's one of my mates was saying to me the other day, he's a United fan, he's going, oh, you lot, just steady out, you're getting carried away. But I said, no, we're not getting carried away. That was a good win over Fulham. What did they do last night? Fulham? They won. Right? You know what I mean? Chelsea against Southampton last night? They lost. You know what I mean? It's all right saying that these are teams that you're expected to win anyway, but it's very rare that a team starts a season and they've won like 4 on the bounce. And we got a chance tonight to make it 5 on the bounce against Aston Villa. And I think that would be, listen, it doesn't matter. This is the Premier League. 5 on the bounce. I know we haven't played, we haven't played a City or a Liverpool, or maybe I wouldn't mind playing a Chelsea right now, you know what I mean? Right, but we haven't played any of those, but we're beating what's in front of us. Yeah?
Yeah, and we're also getting a gap between us and some of what should have been our rivals. Yeah. What are we ahead of Chelsea now? Is it 7 points?
7 with this game in hand, I think.
Yeah. If we and then we win tonight, will it be 7 or will it be 10?
I guess it'd be 10 because they played last night, didn't they? And they lost.
Yeah. So that's a big gap. Imagine if it was the other way round and we were 10 points behind Chelsea.
Yeah. But last season.
Yeah.
Last season. Remember, we lost our first 3 games. So to win our first 4, I think is quite significant, Joy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at the league as if it was the league 15 years ago. But if you're looking at the investment in the Premier League now, I know it sounds cliche, but there are no easy teams because of the calibre of player that are in these lower level teams, right? I mean, you look at, I keep banging on about him, but players like Paulinho, Mitrovic playing at Fulham, I mean, these are guys that could walk into a lot of serious squads because they're quality players, so you can't take anything for granted. But that's why I've been kind of frustrated because I've heard a lot of people talking this week about Man United on the weekend. And I'm sitting there thinking, hold on, you've got to be focused on Villa because they're desperate for a win. Their managers, he knows that he's got City this weekend, so if he doesn't get 3 points tonight, his job might be a bit rocky next week. So that's why today is super important, and I hope the players and the manager aren't getting complacent and have both eyes on this fixture as opposed to one eye on United.
Yeah, and listen, Villa are a team. I know we beat them at home last year, beat them home and away last year.
Yeah.
But Villa are a team full of quality. Villa are a team that have beaten us before at the Emirates a couple of times. And I remember during the pandemic. They beat us pretty comprehensively, although we did beat them pretty comprehensively last year. But this is a good opportunity to, they're in a bad way at the moment, Villa, and we've got to exploit that, haven't we?
Yeah, we do. I think this is one of those games that we have to take very, very seriously. Like you said, there's no easy games in the Prem. I think, as well, there is going to be a bit of pressure on Gerrard. We've seen a manager already be sacked, and we're only 4 games in, so everyone's kind of fighting for their lives. People are fighting for their jobs, so they're definitely not coming to take this game, easy. This is a very serious game for them, and it is for us. I can't remember the last time, if ever, that we've won our opening 5.
Yeah, I think the last time we did it was the 2004-5 season.
2004-5.
2004-5 season.
That was
the
after
last
the
time when we won 5 games in a row.
Different league back then as well, don't forget.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of 2 decades
ago.
To
win 5 games in a row, like you said, in the Premier League, in this day and age, with all the investment, I think it's no easy feat at all. So I definitely think that, we should be trying to just rack up as much points, as much wins as we can. I was saying on the weekend that we are going to drop points at some stage, but we seem to be bouncing back, even when we're just conceding goals in game. The mentality seems to be a little bit different. Yeah. And, if everybody's on it, I'm expecting 3 points, but it's not going to be an easy game at all.
The one thing we know about today is that, and the one thing we've known over the past couple of days is it's not a settled, it's a settled team, but it's not the starting 11 that we've been starting games with, right? There's going to be players missing tonight. There's going to be
a few players
no
missing.
Thomas Partey, we know, and no Mohamed El Neni. Those 2 guys are definitely out. We heard about Elneny picking up that injury. There's been lots of talk about, transfer-wise, we need to bring in a midfielder and stuff like that. But whatever we do transfer-wise is going to make no difference to tonight. What do we do in that midfield area? Is it Sambi Lokonga you think should come in there in that midfield area? I've even heard talk of maybe possibly moving Ben White to a defensive midfielder position. I mean, what do you think we should do? Aziz has been training with the first team, of course, a young player who's under 23 player, but has been promoted to the first team squad. Maybe he could possibly come in there. What would you do?
I think you have to balance it, because what you don't want to do is make too much disruption to what we've had, and what we've had is a very successful team. So you want to keep it as undisrupted as possible. However, you're not going to have the choice tonight. You can't just play that 11. The one good thing, I suppose, about the fact that you've got Elneny that's injured and Partey in that one position is you've only got one position to think of. Now, although Elneny played really well...
Yeah, but there's no one else who plays really good in that position.
Well, that's the thing. At home, I wouldn't have played Elneny. I think he's a really stable player, but he's not that adventurous. And against a team like Villa, with the...
But his job's not to be adventurous.
Well, exactly, but I don't think we need that type of player against Villa at home. I think we need someone with a little bit more creativity. So I'd put Lokonga in there. I'd have actually played Lokonga instead of Elneny on Saturday, and the same tonight. So I don't think we're necessarily going to miss him. We're always going to miss a player like Partey.
I'm not being convinced with Lokonga in that defensive midfield position. Playing further forward, I've liked him. Sort of playing as a box-to-box midfielder, but playing that sort of discipline, holding player, I'm not sure.
So do you put Xhaka in there and then let Lokonga have the slightly more adventurous role?
That's what I'm asking you guys. I wouldn't super chat here. My inner Turkey says, I'm afraid that being desperate for a DM will let other clubs set high prices for their players. Again, unprepared. Sorry for unleashing my inner Turkey. I wouldn't say we're unprepared. I'm saying it's an unforeseen circumstance. Lokonga needs to show up now, says Chitiana Carl. Yep. He says, remember Guendouzi carried us in a comeback versus Villa a couple of years ago. We need that now with Lokonga. Lokonga, does he start there for you?
Do you remember in All or Nothing when Nketiah and Lokonga were having that conversation? Yeah. Nketiah says, what happened? You used to be happy. Lokonga goes, I'm not playing. And Nketiah goes, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Do you know what I mean? So if you put Ben White in there, or if you put anyone in there aside from Lokonga, what sort of message does that send to a young player that was brought through as the Anderlecht captain? It would knock his confidence. The reality is...
That is position, though. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about knocking...
He should be able to do that with Aston Villa at home in the form that they're in. Particularly when I speak to Villa fans, they say the way that they play now, fullbacks bomb on, and even a lot of the midfielders are quite adventurous, and they leave Kamara sort of by himself, and they wish he had more support. So it basically sounds like Kamara is the only one who sits in there. So Lokonga really shouldn't be getting exposed too much if he plays there today.
Bit of a strong area for Villa, though. You know what I mean? They've got Kamara there. They've got. They can play Douglas Luiz. Yeah. It's a very good player in that sort of defensive midfield role. Yeah. Player that we've been linked to over the years. John McGinn's in there. Buendia. I'm not sure. I think Coutinho might be injured. But Buendia, they've got a good midfield. I mean, Villa got a very good side. We know that when you look at them player for player. But in the midfield area, they're good. They're not like they've got very good players in that position. Got to get the midfield right. I think that they'll be looking on it and saying, right, that's one of our strengths. Why don't we target? So that's why I'm like, we've got to get it right, whoever plays in that position.
My thing is with Lokonga, and every time I've kind of watched him specifically, I think one of my problems with him, I feel like he kind of hides a little bit, and I want to see him just getting on the ball and kind of commanding the game. If he is going to play, then he has to he's got some big shoes to fill, but he has to really step up. And like you said, we've seen him in All or Nothing where he's upset when he's not playing. If he gets the opportunity today, he's got to take it with two hands. Do you know what I mean? So I want to see him kind of being a little bit more confident than what I've seen him. My problem is in midfield is that I don't want to see Xhaka put back into his old role.
No, I totally agree with that.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm
but
not sure.
Would you rather? I think if it boiled down to it, maybe Yeah, I get what you're
Because
saying.
he's been playing so well in this
Yeah.
new role
Yeah.
where he can bomb forward. He doesn't have that responsibility,
Yeah.
and
He hasn't
people
had-
aren't really
yeah.
getting onto him as much as they used to for, you know, his.
Yeah.
Um,
What about
you know, the mistakes
all right,
that
I'm
he
going to
made.
put another scenario back to you guys, right? Let's just do a couple of super chats here. Sam says I would play a 3-2-4-1. Gabriel, Saliba, White, Xhaka, Lokonga, Martinelli, Vieira, Odegaard, Saka, and Jesus. Gunner Down Under says if Tielemans isn't on the team sheet come squad release, it's clear that he's off somewhere. That game's tomorrow, of course. Leicester versus Man United. If not, Arsenal aren't after him. Cody Gakpo linked with the Saints and Leeds. Surely they're not coming to us. Matthew said Odegaard slightly deeper and Vieira or Emil Smith-Rowe as a cam. And Jonathan James says Ben White at DM, please.
Yeah.
Sambi is a number 8. Ben White as a defensive midfielder, and then maybe bringing back in Tomiyasu at right back. What about that?
Goes back to
Yeah,
what Julian was
yeah.
saying though about disrupting more than one position when you don't necessarily have to, right? You're then putting someone who hasn't really played in that position for us before into the midfield, and then bringing Tomiyasu in at right back.
But he has played there before for Brighton.
Yeah.
And apparently he played. I mean, I didn't see it, but from speaking to those Brighton fans, remember the ones we met at Wembley? That they were raving about him, not only at centre back but also at defensive midfield. So it is an option. Myself, I prefer Lokonga there because, as I said before, that you don't want to disrupt too much. But as a second option, if you're not convinced, and what you've got to remember is Arteta's seeing this guy day in, day out.
Yeah.
The only thing we've seen of him was the beginning of last season, where I thought he was terrific and he looked like he had some great potential, and then towards the end of last season, where he looked the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But Arteta's seeing him every day.
I think Sambi Lokonga, when I've watched him, when he's played in that position that Xhaka's playing in, actually, that sort of bit more forward, box to box, I'm looking at him thinking, yeah, I can see why they bought this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
better. He's
When
better as an 8
Yeah.
than he is a 6, in my opinion.
Yeah, when he's in that more defensive position, like you said, looks a little bit, you know what I mean, a bit worried when the ball
Yeah.
comes back to him and he's
That's what
under
I
a bit
think,
of pressure, you know what I mean?
That's where I'd play him. I actually would move Xhaka.
You'd
I'd move Xhaka
put him
into
there.
his old role and then play Lokonga in the role that he
I
fits
think
in.
that as well.
That's what I would do. And don't forget, man, I mean, we're now looking at a back four where the players that are behind Xhaka, I mean, the solidarity that Saliba brings shouldn't go unnoticed, right? And you would like to think that
Yeah.
that could perhaps protect Xhaka a little bit, because a lot of his mistakes have been when he's been accepting the ball from the goalkeeper or the back four. But we've got a little bit more composure in there now, so maybe Xhaka won't be as exposed, right? And he certainly shouldn't be left the last man the way that he
Yeah.
was in previous games,
Yeah,
right?
like the Liverpool game.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think as well, this is just a great test for our squad. Do you know what I mean? Just like seeing now, like we're losing, you know, certain players like Partey and El Neni. Now we're really seeing, you know, what our squad is made
It's
up.
a bit earlier than I would have
made
liked,
up.
though.
Yeah,
Before
but,
the other
you know,
competitions have even started, you know what I
I
mean?
was
That's the
reading
worry.
that Partey might only be out for a couple of weeks,
Right.
but we don't know. This
We
guy's
don't
only
know.
played 58% of the time since we bought him, which has been absolutely incredible, you know what I mean? But he's an important player. When he's playing, if he's playing tonight, I'm not even worried about that
But then
midfield. But,
we
you know.
remember Tomiyasu was only supposed to miss a few weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Yeah.
look what happened there. So we
Anthony Toads at 1993 says Xhaka plays deeper with Vieira at number 8. Xhaka will cover the left back when Tierney goes forward. So there's that. Do you think you might make some, you know, when we was doing a preview as well, sorry, C Extreme says Zinchenko should play as a DM if he's fit. We're not sure if he's
I
going to be
don't think
fit.
he's going to be playing for what I heard.
Do you guys think that he might make more changes on this actually? Because, you know, we've seen teams this week who've been playing in the midweek make quite a few changes without having sort of injuries. We got a big game on the weekend against Manchester United.
Yep.
Do you think he'll make any change? I mean, personally, I hope he doesn't. Because I still think it's so early in the season. Surely man can't say they're tired. But could you see him making changes? To, you know, maybe could he maybe rest of Jesus and bring in Eddie to start,
I was
or
wondering if he was gonna
maybe
do that,
Smith
yeah.
Rowe comes in for a
Martinelli.
Martinelli, or
I think if he's resting anyone,
Vieira?
if he's resting anyone, it might be Saka, because
Yep.
there's been a lot of talk about the fact that now Pepe's gone, Saka doesn't necessarily have cover, and he hasn't quite looked himself in these games going forward. But then again, You want Saka firing for that United game, and you want him to build up a bit of confidence before it, and Villa might be the game to do it. So it's a double-edged sword, but look, that's what the manager gets paid for, man.
Yeah.
He has to make the right call in that situation.
Yeah, but he's looked a bit quiet, Saka, this season.
You say that I think when I was watching back the highlights, it was his little run that led to the first goal. So even a quiet Saka still has moments.
He's still effective.
He had an assist for that goal.
Yeah,
So
he's still effective.
he still has an effect on the game. A quiet Saka is still an important player.
I'd still rather hold him back for tonight so that he's fresher for United. For me, the United game is a bigger game for us than Villa because we're not going to be competing with Villa for that top 4 space.
But what if you
still
don't want to
competing
throw
with
away?
United.
You don't want to throw away the chance to win 5 games in a row.
No, we're not going to throw it away, but that's what the squad's there for. We have got some great players that haven't played yet, and I think they're good enough to come in and not particularly weaken the team and give us the ability.
But this is not a Europa League game.
It's not Europa League.
It's a Premier League game. You know, with Chelsea slipping up last night, you know, win 5 games in a row, like you said, you start to put a.
I think
start to give yourself a little buffer for those tough
You
games.
can always have
Saka.
you can always have Saka on the bench.
Who are you
to
playing
come
on the
off.
right then, instead of him?
I would actually play Jesus on the right and put Nketiah up front.
Jesus
That's
on the right.
and that's on the
He's done it for
basis of
City a
what
couple of times.
that's on the basis of what Nketiah did when he came on. I think we all sort of almost ignored the fact that it seemed to change when he came on,
Yeah,
No, he was
and
excellent.
I think he deserves a chance.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if I mean, if anything, I'd have him more on the right hand side and then Jesus down the middle. Personally,
Yeah, I mean, he does deserve a
chance.
chance, but I don't think that he deserves a chance at the expense of Jesus yet. I still feel like,
He's the main guy.
He's the main guy, and he's the person that we really want to see him scoring today. So he goes into that United game with that momentum. So I'd want to see him.
He can still score from the right hand side. He did
Yeah.
it for City.
I'm a much bigger fan of front-loading your team so that you can hopefully get these players off at the 60th, 65th minute if you've cemented the result, as opposed to having to bring them on and then run them into the ground to come back from behind, for example. I think that sometimes can do more damage than starting them early and then taking them off.
Yeah.
Freddie Yusuf says predictions. Aston Villa couldn't convert much goals in their first 4 games, even when they had high possession. So today, playing away, no possession. I hope it's going to be Arsenal 3-0. And Ashwan says Villa is more important. A draw at Old Trafford is fine. So that's what he's saying. And I think we've got to play the games right in front of us. Ashwan says Villa have one of the best squads in the league, hence why their manager's under so much pressure. I agree with him. When you go through, especially in particular in the starting 11, they've got a very, very good starting 11. I just think Gerrard doesn't seem to know what his best team is. Let's get predictions. So before I forget, I forgot that the other day to even get predictions out of people. But let's get predictions. Where are you going?
I think it'll be 3-0.
3-0?
It'll be a good win for us today.
Okay.
I'm going 2-0. I really want a clean sheet today going into that United game. I think it's important, but I think the Villa are going to come and initially try and set up to be quite compact, and they'll be difficult to break down, which is why I don't know whether we'll get 3, 4, 5.
I think if we got their early goal, we're going to get 3 plus.
I wanted to say 3-0, but we have to start well. We have to start well. I didn't like how we started our last game. I think we was just a little bit slow to kind of get into it. And I wanted to say as well, this is normally that kind of game where, when we always say, Arsenal, your team rocks up to Arsenal after a bad run and they've not really been doing too well. We need to kind of get rid of that stigma that's always attached to us. Do you know what I mean? So I don't want this to be the game where they're just
we get a team back on
now
track.
our season starts, because that always happens to us. That always happens to us. So
I think what I've liked about this season is that we're starting to get rid of those sort of.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go 2-0 as well. And I again, if I'm an Arsenal player, if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm looking at it and saying to myself, listen, these guys, they're in problems. Let's stick it on them right from the start. They're coming to the Emirates. The atmosphere is buzzing. Let's keep this momentum going and let's really stick it on Aston Villa. They're a team under a lot of pressure. Don't give them heart. Don't get them, where they've got something to hold on to. Stick it a bit like what happened to Bournemouth at Liverpool. Liverpool just, they just. I'm not saying this. Listen, they're not Bournemouth. That's the Villa. They're a quality side. But you know what I mean. It's about sticking it on them from early, going at them, really getting at that Villa defence, because it's been a bit ropey. They lost to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Remember, in their first game of the season. So they're not in a great place. They lost at the weekend. I watched the highlights of the game. It was a poor performance by Villa. It wasn't a great game. I didn't think West Ham are much better, but they lost. So I think this is a big opportunity for Arsenal, where we can go 5 games unbeaten at the start of the season. Going into that Man United game would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, we could make a statement then. If they've lost to Bournemouth and Bournemouth have lost 9-0 to Liverpool, then they're there for the taking. It could be more than 3-0. Might reassess.
That's some serious maths, man. That's some serious maths, you know.
But if we can get that early goal,
It doesn't
If only it worked like that.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I
If
mean?
only it worked like that.
No, listen, be weary, right? There are got quality players, right throughout that side. Up front, could be Danny Ings, could be Ollie Watkins, you know what I mean? Leon Bailey, Buendia.
Yeah.
These are quality players. John McGinn. These are players that will get into Arsenal's team.
Dini's a very good attacking fullback as well, man. He seems
Yeah,
to have fallen off, but he's a good player.
Dina, you know what I mean?
Matty Cash is off form, but he had a
Matty
stormer
Cash,
back end of last season.
Mings,
And we know about their goalkeeper.
Martinez in goal.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
gosh,
players that
yeah.
I've just described there that would get into Arsenal's team.
I mean, one of them
I
used to
still-
be in our
Yeah.
team, right? I mean, that's the reality.
I
So
still
it's
feel like
Martinez.
we've got better players. We have got the better team,
Yeah.
though.
I
But
couldn't think of any-
100%.
I couldn't think of any of their players that would get into our team.
I beg your pardon?
I couldn't.
No, come
so
on,
which
come on,
player
come on.
would
You not have?
replace
You wouldn't have John McGinn in Arsenal's team.
instead
I
of
would.
who?
I'd take Douglas Luiz in our squads.
I won't
Instead
say.
of who?
I'm
I'd
not
take
going to
him in the
say.
squad.
I'm not going to say the instead of, right?
Well, then
But I'm-
that's what you mean
No,
by
no,
in
no.
the team.
But if you
talk
look
about
at
the squad, then
no,
yes.
no. You look at. There's certain players in Villa's team that could get into our team
First 11.
Could
in the first 11.
instead of who?
I don't know about the first.
Instead of who?
11. I don't know who.
In the
I'd
first, we were
Instead of
trying to
who?
buy Buendia. Remember, right?
Yeah,
we
but
were
we got
interested.
that. We got that right, though.
Yeah,
we
but
got
we
that
were
right.
interested
We got that
in,
right.
but right, Coutinho is a quality player. Ollie Watkins is a quality player.
Yeah,
Danny Ings is a
But
quality player.
that doesn't mean that they
right?
replace our players instead of.
Martinez is a quality player. You know
That's
what I
the
mean?
only one that I'd probably give, and I'd only base that on the
I really
performances
like.
he
I
had
do
for
like that
Arsenal.
John McGinn. I think
He's,
he's a
yeah, I
quality player.
love. I think
He could get into our
and
team.
he's their captain now, right?
Point to prove,
Yeah,
yes.
but
So
But
I
instead
think
of who?
it's too. I think it's too simplistic to just say instead of who, because
that means it would
put-
be better players.
I look on it and I say, if such and such, if such and such, if McGinn was in the team instead of Thing, it wouldn't be a large miss, because
But that doesn't mean they're better. That if
So
you
you-
look at
John McGinn
if you
is-
look
John
at-
McGinn's
if you look
probably
at
better than
every one of
Xhaka.
any one of our players, I would say that they're better than the Villa players at the moment.
I-
On the present performances,
I mean,
all our players are better
there's-
than all of their players.
on the present performance, obviously, but there's a lot of quality players.
They've
in
got
that
every
team.
single
They've-
one.
They've spent a lot of money to construct that team.
I don't think that any of their players. I mean, I get what you're saying. I would take a few of their players in our squad. I
Yeah.
don't think any of their players would take our team to the next level.
No.
Not yet, not well. If you
You know,
put it
if-
that way, but I think they're players that are good enough to get into our team, good enough to get into other top 6 teams. They've got
Squads.
a very
Squads.
good squad. They are a good Premier League team. They really have got, I think, but they have got a very good squad. So I don't think underestimating them. They've got a lot of quality. It's not Bournemouth,
Yeah.
right? Where you look on it and say, look, there's a lot of sort of Championship type players in that team. They've got a lot of quality Premier League, international players in their team, and so we have to be very wary. Kalechi Asika says, will Arsenal fans have an open bus parade if you lot win today? Hashtag over celebrating. I still can't get over those ridiculous comments from
ridiculous, yeah.
from Richard Keys the other day. I mean, I see even other teams mocking the whole thing, not mocking Arsenal, but mocking Richard Keys.
Well, there's a Twitter account now called the Celebration Police, and it's got Richard Keys as the face, and it's just retweeting all other teams celebrating their wins and going, "We're on to you. You're getting a warning." I mean, he made himself look like an absolute mug.
Well, he is a mug.
But as Turkish and Cecil was saying yesterday on the live, giving them the attention is exactly what they want. I think
exactly.
he's clearly just doing it for
Exactly,
clicks.
because nobody even knew that they were still on beIN Sports, half
Exactly.
of people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Jeremy Hickson says, I disagree with Robbie saying it's too early to rotate. Some of these guys need minutes so that they're ready.
Yeah.
When we need them. Fabio, Emil Smith-Rowe, Eddie, let's see some more formations and let's get 3 points. But what I'd say is this is a Premier League game. Chance to keep that momentum going. You know, keep a settled side.
They'll all get 90 minutes next week in the
There's
Europa
a
League.
Europa League game next
That's
week.
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll all play
Against
90. Every single player you name there will play 90
Yeah.
next week.
Start
That's
with your strongest team, but I do think that if we are in a comfortable position come an hour, then I would like to see Vieira playing today. I would like to.
Yeah, that's different.
He should
But
make,
I'm on
make
about
the changes a
that's
little
different.
bit earlier
Starting
today.
Yeah, but it's starting with certain
But
players.
start
It's different.
strong. Yeah, start strong.
You don't just say, "Oh, Villa are in a bad place, so we're going to change up the team and we're going
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
start with this player and that player and that player." I mean, one player, by the way, who won't be in the squad tonight is. I want to get you guys' thoughts on, and we've got about 5 minutes to go before we get the starting 11. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles about to join Southampton.
Okay. He's proved over the years that he's not good enough for our team, so he's got to go. It is ruthless,
That's
but
pretty clinical.
that's the way it is. He's not going to get in. He's a bit like all those Villa players.
I feel for him because he was sitting there on Instagram last season saying, "Free me." We chose to retain him, and he barely played. And then he went out on loan again. I mean, I think for the player, now that he's going to Southampton, he must have prioritised a move where he spoke to the manager and said, "Am I going to get minutes?" Because that has to be the only thing he's moving for.
He
now.
hasn't had no minutes.
The guy needs to play, man. And
Just
honestly,
had a baby yesterday.
Yeah. I saw that on Instagram.
He's
I
had
mean,
no minutes. He's not been in any matchday squads at all, has he?
No.
Yeah.
I think he needs to see past that "I want to play a midfield" thing as well, man. If you can just play for a Premier League team in any position, Ainsley, just take it now.
I think the thing is, right, is that I remember speaking to one of his representatives, right, and they said that "I want to play in midfield" thing has been so blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
He said
I
that.
agree.
He said he was actually asked the question, "What's your preferred position?" And he's like, "Oh, I love playing in midfield.
Fair
Midfield's
enough.
my preferred position."
Fair enough, yeah.
And everyone's just always taken that as,
think
"Oh, I
that's
don't want
stuck
to play
with
as a
him.
right back. I
Yeah.
want to play as." Whereas if you actually look at him, he's played right back, he's played left back, he's played midfield. He's actually wherever he's been asked to play, he's played, and he's done all right in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I agree with you. You know what I mean? You know, for the we always look at it from a fan's point of view, from an Arsenal point of view. But for him as a player, I mean, he's still young. He wants to be playing games, doesn't he? He wants to be
how
playing
old is he?
regularly.
Can't be older
I think
than
he's got to be
25.
about 24, getting up to
It's
25
24,
now.
25.
And he's-
Yeah.
But it's time for him to go.
That's a
for
loan,
him and
loan
for
with
us.
an option to buy. Is that loan with an option he's gone on?
I'm not sure of the actual. When I was reading about it earlier on, it did sound like it was a loan with an option.
Because I heard we extended his contract to then send him out
Exactly.
on loan, which adds value to the option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, it's probably smart business from Arsenal as well.
It's smart business. And with obviously the transfer, which is really weird with these games. I mean, you've got games tonight. You've even got a game tomorrow night
On deadline day.
On
Yeah.
deadline day, it's going to be really interesting with Leicester City. They're playing Man United. Will Tielemans play in that game? If he plays in that game, I think you can safely say he's not moving anywhere. If he doesn't play in that game, he's probably on the move. But it's really weird that we're playing these games on transfer deadline day. Who would you guys like to, just quickly get one player off of each of you you'd like to see come in for Arsenal? Let's start with you, Dave.
Oh man, I wanted to say Tielemans up until Partey and Elneny had been out. Now I'm not sure. Maybe we should go for somebody a bit more defensive-minded. But if we bring in Tielemans, I'll be happy.
For me, just in terms of the links and how realistic they sound, I think it has to be Tielemans. I don't think there's anyone. Don't forget the whole thing with this transfer window and previous transfer windows has been we're not just going to sign a player for the sake of it. This has to be the right player, right? So I don't think they're going to panic buy and just bring in anyone for the sake of numbers. And I certainly hope if we only bring in one, we don't prioritise the winger over the midfield. Because the midfield is the position that I've been concerned about for window after window after window, and I really think Tielemans brings something to the squad, if not necessarily the first 11. So for me, always Youri.
Okay, I don't think it's going to be realistic, but if it's who I'd want to bring in, it's the position that you've said, and I'd bring in Savage.
We've just not been linked with him at
Yeah.
all.
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's the thing.
But if I was
think
going to choose the player,
Yeah.
it would be
I
Savage.
think they've already
agree.
come out, like his representatives have already come out and said he's not going. He's definitely not.
But I
leaving.
wouldn't have Tielemans.
Let's say you wouldn't have Tielemans.
No, from what I've seen of him, and the most recent was at Arsenal a few weeks ago. He just didn't look that great.
Well, you'd rather keep what we've got.
Yeah. Instead of that panic buy.
I think he's class. I think yes, he's probably gone a bit stale at Leicester, but I think he's a quality player. I think he brings some things that we don't have. For instance, he's a player who can score from outside the box.
Yeah.
Who in our midfield? Yeah, all right. Odegaard will have a shot from
Odegaard
outside the
can,
box. Who
Xhaka
else?
can.
No, they don't shoot regularly
often
from
enough.
outside the box though.
He's
but
got a shot on him, Xhaka. I've seen it a
He
few
has
times.
done.
Yeah, I mean, so does
Well,
Al Many,
one
bro,
season,
but they're
yeah.
like two a year. Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I'm
Yeah,
talking
but
about a
they
guy
can-
who
they're
regularly
normally
has
bangers,
shots
though.
from outside the box and is dangerous. Gets them on target most of
Yeah,
them.
but it's also not how Arteta sets them up to take shots. It's more of an intricate attack.
But
that
where
they
did we get
do.
the breakthrough against Fulham? We took a shot.
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
we weren't doing enough in the first half, and then we got the goal that got us
Exactly.
back into the game. I mean, it is important. It is
Yeah,
important.
it
And
is
also I
important,
think
but
he-
it doesn't happen that
also
often.
think
But when it
he's-
does, we're not too bad at it.
Yeah,
Also
yeah,
think he's
yeah,
quite-
I agree, yeah.
Partey's got a shot on him. I know it
It's
normally
an
ends
awful
up in
shot.
the upper tier, but he's got a shot on him.
It's not just about the shot; it's about it ended. I mean, you always remember that goal he scored in the FA Cup final. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a quality player. He's a Belgium international, very important player for Belgium.
He can improve as well. That's the thing. I think
yeah.
he can
Well, he
definitely-
needs to improve because
Yeah.
I mean, last season, the beginning of this, he
Yeah.
hasn't looked that great.
Right, let's get the team. The
All
team
right.
is now out. So let's take in this team. Oh, every time it always seems to happen to me. Every time I try and get it off my phone like this. Right,
Well, he's keeping us waiting,
I
man.
know, man. What's going on?
I can see a picture.
right. Here we go. Here we
you
go.
lost it
Here's the
again.
Come
team.
on, come on.
Right, the Arsenal team to start the game tonight is Ramsdale in goal.
Yep.
Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tierney, Sambi Lokonga starts.
Thought so.
Xhaka, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Jesus. So the only change in that starting lineup is Sambi Lokonga.
didn't want to
Sambi
disrupt
Lokonga comes in right from the start. On the bench is Turner, Cedric, Tomiyasu, Holding, Smith, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Marquinhos on the bench, which is very interesting. This is his first time making.
No, he was on the bench for Fulham.
Yeah.
He was on the bench for
Oh, I
Fulham.
didn't notice that.
Yeah.
All right, and Eddie Nketiah. So that is the bench.
No Aziz.
No Aziz on the bench, and
who's
no Zinchenko. No
No,
Zinchenko.
we
still.
heard
They
that
was-
before.
They were
Gotta
saying
keep
there
it
was a
safe. Yeah.
possibility that Zinchenko could have been fit for the game, but that is the team. Thoughts?
United.
Thoughts
I'm
on
happy
the
with
team?
that. It's exactly what I wanted to see.
I think, yeah, I'm happy with the team. For me, it just depends on who's the more defensive out of the two centre mids. For me.
But you can switch it. You can switch it in game. If it's not working, you can rotate. You can't be so rigid that the way that you set up has to be the way that you play throughout. If it's not working, change it up. We've seen him do it.
Big game for him though, because I think, we know that Partey can get injured very often. I think, he can really take this opportunity
100.
and, make the position his own if he wants, So it's a huge game for him.
Okay, you happy with the team?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I just want to see them 3-4-0 up at half time so they can start to make so they can make the rotation because
Don't we all?
I know that
This
you should
bloody rotation thing.
No, but I'm worried about United. I can't go to United again and lose.
United play
It was
tomorrow, don't
I
forget.
know, but I just can't
I don't
bear the
see-
idea of coming back down
Whatever
the
happened to
M6.
the days where you just had a settled team that just like literally every week everyone knows that's our best 11 and that starts.
Oh yeah, but World
but
Cup
it's-
year. I mean, the way that things are now.
I get that, and I get that. And when you get to like next week now, and as Europa League
Exactly.
game starts, that's when your Fabio Vieiras and people like that can start. They've not had a pre-season, remember, can start to work it. But this is going to be a
Remember,
high tempo game.
if we do make Champions League, we're going to be playing harder teams midweek, where we're going to have to be,
Exactly.
playing our full strength team like more or less every game. So
That's
we
when you're
just
going to
gotta-
get your rotation.
Yeah.
I think you've got to take last year out of your head because last year, one game a week, a lot of times, then you could think, all right, this guy's not getting game time. But for me, if a team's playing well, that's the team.
Yeah, keep it, man.
Right, and we can rotate on, next week, Europa League, you turn around to an Eddie and say, Eddie, you're starting next week. I'm telling you in advance, you're starting that game against FC Zurich.
Looks like Arteta agrees based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting 11 for Aston Villa is Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Mings, Digne, John McGinn is a captain, Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, Bailey, Watkins, and Buendia. That is the team. So they've gone.
Which one of those players would,
They've gone with-
would
they've gone with
take out
Oli.
one of ours? None, I wouldn't have
Yeah,
thought.
it's easy to. I think it's
Yeah.
easy to say that at
Yeah.
the moment
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
they're not
so I wouldn't want
performing.
any of them.
But I think there's some very good players in that team, and it looks to me like they're going to play Watkins up front on his own. And we know that he's a very dangerous player in trying to get in behind, using his pace. But I think a little bit different now that we've got Saliba in there who can match that pace
Calming
and
presence at the
match
back.
that sort of, with Gabriel, sort of match that. That's one of the differences I think in, say, for instance, the last time we played him where not last year, the year before, when he was one of the players that absolutely dominated us. So it's going to be really interesting to see him coming up against, Saliba and also Gabriel.
We know Martinez loves a game against us as well. Loves a complaint against us as well. But
He'll be getting a lot of stick, I think.
I hope not.
He'll get a lot of stick. You know what it is with Martinez? He messed up himself, right? Because I loved Martinez as a player when he was there. And I think that when Martinez left Arsenal, I think most fans were like, "Yo, bro, good luck to you, man."
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
You
was.
came in,
It's all the
good
comments after,
but it's
man.
all the comments afterwards. I've gone to a bigger side and this and that and all that. People were like, "Oh, hold on a minute."
Yeah, look at how Leno
I'm done
carried
with him,
himself.
man.
Look at how Leno carried himself after he left. Carried himself very well. I know it's only
There's
been a
ways
few
to
weeks,
lead
but he's
so
not come
far.
out and said anything other than massive respect to Arsenal. I'm taking on a new challenge, and he got a good reception.
Yeah.
That won't happen with Martinez because he ran his mouth.
It won't. I remember last year when Martinez come, he got oh my God, he got grief.
He did, but not from me.
Well, yeah.
I
Listen, you
mean,
don't.
Of all the goalkeepers I've seen, and it goes back for me, the first goalkeeper I saw playing for Arsenal, I think it was Jimmy Rimmer in the mid-70s. That performance for those few months that he was there, I've never seen an Arsenal goalkeeper play as well. It's phenomenal.
nothing
No,
to do
he
with
was
his quality.
excellent.
Nothing to
I
do with
know,
his quality.
It's
but
excellent.
that for me,
There's
can
ways to leave a
that
club.
for me
Yeah.
can compensate for the odd misplaced word.
But I think considering that we gave him an FA Cup, I mean, obviously
I think he gave us.
Well, yeah, obviously he was brilliant. He was brilliant in that run-in towards the end of the season. But I just think that there's a way to leave a club.
And he also probably cared more than Leno. I mean, I've never seen a player crying like he did after they won the FA Cup. He really cared. He was in the
never
Arsenal
expected
reserves.
But then
He
if
was
you
in the
love
Arsenal
the- if you
reserves
love
for
the club
so
that
long.
much,
No, but you know what I mean. So then, when you're leaving, why run up your mouth? Just leave.
I'm not saying it was right
Just
to
leave
run
and
off his
say,
mouth, but
leave the club and say thank you very much for
Yeah.
what I mean, and stuff like that. And
But for me personally,
I've
I'd just
moved
give
on to a new chapter. I've moved on to a new challenge.
And that would have been the best way. But for me personally, I'd give him a pass on a few misplaced words because of the phenomenal performances that he put in and the fact that he had to wait so many years to get that chance.
I don't know. For me, he moved like it was a step up.
Yeah.
In his career.
Well, he said it.
Yeah.
He said a step up.
And they
Yeah.
had to get rid of him
Step
to pay
up.
Ozil's wages.
No, but he said step up from Arsenal.
As I said, misplaced words for me.
Try
try
telling the fans at
Yeah,
the Emirates
tell-
on a
Yeah,
Sunday
I know.
night, late kick-off, few drinks in, Martinez comes
When
out.
you
try
go
explaining
there
that.
later on, right?
Yeah,
you
yeah,
try
yeah.
telling the people around
That's
us
it,
that.
that's
Yeah. But listen, we're going to wrap it up now. Let me just remind everybody of the team once again. Let me give you the Villa team first. That's Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Mings, Luca Digne, John McGinn, the captain, Kamara, Ramsey, Bailey, Watkins, and Buendia. And the Arsenal team is Ramsdale in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tierney, Sambi Lokonga in for the injured Thomas Partey and also El Neni, Granit Xhaka, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Jesus. Basically just one change, and that's the change to El Neni. Subs Turner, Cedric, Tomiyasu, Holding, Smith, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Marquinhos and Eddie Nketiah. Don't forget to keep it locked here on AFTV. We're going to be doing a big watch along. Turkish is going to be taking it up. I'm going to be at the game. I'll be speaking to fans after the game as well. These guys are going to be in the studio as well. Sharoy, Dex, right, going through everything as it happens. So that's coming up in about half an hour's time. The big match day live tonight. Game kicks off at 7:30. Remember, we're looking forward to this one. Arsenal versus Aston Villa at the Emirates. Can we make it 5 in a row?